tonight, the battle over Bill 124 heads to court tomorrow.
Sad that we're even having to go to court.
Ontario nurses and a number of unions have long called for the province to scrap the legislation that caps salary increases. In the UK, the coffin-carrying Queen Elizabeth has begun a journey that will end with next Monday's funeral, people lining the streets in towns and villages to say goodbye.
Oh, I'm so excited. I just love how the film turned out.
It still feels like home.
Toasting the stars at the Tiff Tribute Awards, we're on the red carpet.
This is CBC Late Night News.
Hello, thanks for joining us. The fight over Bill 124 goes to court tomorrow. The controversial legislation caps salary increases for many in the public sector. As Tyler Cheese shows us, nurses feel they've been disproportionately impacted given the stress on the healthcare system during the pandemic.
Bill 124 was passed as an act to protect a sustainable public sector for future generations. It caps wage increases for provincial employees like nurses and teachers at just 1% per year.
Just repeal the bill. Just repeal it.
Unions representing the sector have been critical of the bill, saying it's demoralizing to workers. Now they'll have their chance to bring their fight to court. The Ontario Nurses Association is leading that fight.
I hope that the courts are strong enough to agree that collective bargaining is protected under the Charter of Rights.
Critics of the bill say it has exacerbated Ontario's ongoing healthcare staffing crisis.
We don't have sufficient numbers of nurses. They're moving somewhere else. They're either moving to agency work because they make a lot of more money, or they're moving all to the US where they're offered the sun and the moon and in between, or they're leaving the profession altogether.
Critics also say industries that tend to be male-dominated aren't facing the same wage limitations.
Nursing is about 95% women, policemen, firefighters, doctors, all exempted from Bill 124. So should we think that it's because they're male professions?
A repeal of the bill would allow unions to renegotiate for retroactive wage increases.
Best case scenario for them, they're hoping that the Superior Court of Justice or the Court of Appeal tells them that this is unconstitutional, it was a breach, and the legislation needs to be overturned. This decision could go either way, but we are guaranteed at least to see an appeal of the Superior Court decision regardless of which way it goes.
A similar challenge was successful in Manitoba before being struck down by the province's Court of Appeal last year. But here in Ontario, there's hope it won't go that far.
I hope that the government will just say enough and they will not appeal the decision and waste more taxpayers' money.
The province did not respond to a request for comment, but last month, Health Minister Sylvia Jones announced a 5-point plan to address the crisis in healthcare. Bill 124 was not mentioned in the plan. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
Meantime, a group of young climate activists are also taking the Ontario government to court.
We are here today to address the dire situation we find ourselves in, and are able to tell our children that we did all we could while we could to change our trajectory.
The lawsuit dates back to 2018 when the newly elected PC government repealed a law that established a cap-and-trade system. The Tories replaced the previous target with one to reduce emissions 30% below 2005 levels by 2030. The activists say that allows for dangerously high levels of emissions. In order for their lawsuit to succeed, they have to prove the province's new target causes harm to people's health. The Ontario government says it doesn't and wants the case tossed. To the UK next, where people had a chance to say goodbye to Queen Elizabeth as her coffin continues a slow procession before her funeral is held a week from Monday. The hearse made a 6-hour trek today through Scotland in places. People lining town and village streets were several rows deep. Some applauded, some threw flowers, but most stood in silence. On Tuesday, the coffin will be flown to London. India, while still part of the Commonwealth, became a republic decades ago after a long and painful history of British colonial rule. As Salima Shivji shows us, the Queen's death has stirred complicated feelings and a call for action.
A daily routine along Mumbai's streets. The city's famous dabbawalas packing up home-cooked lunches ready to be delivered. They're used to plying the roads, but this weekend, the pedestrian task is tinged with sorrow. We were so upset to hear the Queen was gone, this dabbawala says. His group has a close bond with the royals, having met the then Prince Charles and the Queen herself. She was kind and welcoming, he says. But that warm feeling is not universal in this country. At Mumbai's Gateway of India, built for a British king and the spot where the final British troops left this land, any regard for Queen Elizabeth is clouded by the scars of a brutal colonial past.
They ruled over us for so many years, and they did so many wrong decisions and so many cruelty they did. But after her death, she is also a human being.
It's kind of bittersweet, mostly, I think, sweet.
The UK's longest reigning monarch never ruled over India, crowned several years after the former colony's independence. But as head of the Commonwealth, the young Queen visited the young Republic in 1961 to a rapturous welcome. Scenes from the past that feel far removed for many in today's India.
This iconic Mumbai train station used to be called Victoria Terminus, but has been Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus for years now. It's one example among many of the attempts to erase the signs of a painful colonial past in the decades since India became independent, a goal that's an even more urgent priority for the current government.
Yet another symbol is set in one of the crowns owned by Queen Elizabeth, causing rancor in the souls of many Indians. The Koh-i-Noor, taken from India and now part of the crown jewels, is trending on Twitter. Many here desperately want it back.
Because it is something which is ours, and they have already taken so much from our people.
A wish shared by a fair number in the country, even on a day reserved for mourning the Queen of India's former colonial masters. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Mumbai.
Closer to home now, a special toast tonight to the stars. The Tiff Tribute Awards are being handed out. The celebration's likely still going at this hour. Let's bring in Clara Pasica. She's on the red carpet. Hey, Clara.
Shannon, I'm here at the Royal York Hotel at the Tiff Tribute Awards. Now, these awards are relatively new. They only came into play in 2019, the year before the pandemic. They're, of course, celebrating the incredible contributions to the film industry, but they also serve as a fundraiser for some of Tiff's year-round programs. Now, stars like Brendan Fraser, Harry Styles, and Buffy Sainte-Marie are being feted by the festival tonight, and excitement here is high, with many just thrilled to be able to gather together at the festival in this way. We had a chance to chat with some of the stars on the red carpet about what being part of the festival means to them.
Oh, I'm so excited. I just love how the film turned out. I'm so proud of our young director, Madison Thomas. She's from Manitoba. There's a lot of ways that my life could have been sensationalized or done wrong, and it's a very beautiful thing they've done.
It means everything. You know, the film is set and based in Scarborough, which is where I grew up. So it is a full circle moment for that film specifically to then be premiering in Toronto, which is also where I'm from, so it feels like a homecoming, truly.
As much as anything else, I suppose the movie's about human connection, you know, and that was born out of lockdown when we weren't seeing other people and we weren't, we were contemplating even a possibility that they would never return. The movies would never come back in the way that we know them. And so I think in some way gratitude for other human beings.
You know, I know you've had some schooling here as well. Do you have any flashbacks? Do you have any of those kind of memories as you're taking all this and being at home?
I'm going around Toronto and sort of seeing ghosts of myself as a teenager on street corners. The town has changed shape, but it's still the same place.
As you saw, there are so many emotions on that red carpet tonight and some love for Canada along the way. Tonight is a fundraiser for Every Story, which helps those emerging diverse artists get to the next level. Shannon.
Thanks, Clara. She's reporting for us tonight in Toronto. The star's out in full force in Toronto right now. Sir Ben Kingsley is in the city promoting his new film, Dollyland, which tells the life of famous Spanish painter Salvador Dali. Our Dwight Drummond talked to the actor about why this film will be a showstopper.
If one attempts to put genius on the screen, you cannot have a lazy bone in your body. And also to explore how a genius says goodbye to life, who is clinging on to his mortality and had a profound fear of death, was, I think, a great achievement on her part. May I say, as a filmmaker, she put the camera in exactly the right place, every single shot.
So the film is directed by Gravenhurst, Ontario's Mary Herron, based on the screenplay written by John C. Walsh. Dollyland will close out TIFF on September 17th. Sophia is here. The streets are full. There's just so much going on right now, and the weather's mostly cooperated, I would say.
Oh, it's been a fantastic weekend, and Shannon, I love seeing the city come together and be busy and bustling for all the glitterati and the film and the culture that this is bringing. Weather held up as well. We are just starting to see some showers come through right now. Perfectly timed as the parties are wrapping up and back to school and back to work starts tomorrow. And we need the rain. It's been dry the last 5 to 7 days or so. So spotty showers continue into the overnight. We dip down to 19, Shannon, and then for Monday, it actually will feel a little bit more fall-like, dare I say. We're actually at seasonal, but it's 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, of a bit of an active pattern returning. So on and off showers, not a lot of sunshine, some thunder showers, and even some non-severe storms as well for both Monday and Tuesday. Now, coming up in the long range, we'll talk a little bit about how the warmer Great Lakes will play a part in waterspout formation, potentially, for some of you in Niagara region on Tuesday. And then we will talk about the big cool down coming on Wednesday, Shannon. So
a little bit of everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sophia.
No problem.
The town of Aurora is joining the big leagues, at least when it comes to how residents elect municipal councillors. The town will now do it by ward. For the first time this October election, previously, it was the largest municipality in the province still electing councillors at large.
It's more hyper-local. And, you are looking at the issues that are within that ward area and resonating with the residents there to ensure that you're representing them with those same ideas, but at the same time, looking at the town as a whole.
Continued growth in the area led to the change. The town underwent a full review looking at pros and cons before reaching its decision to change the system. Work is now underway to educate residents about which ward they live in and who is on the ballot. Well, to the big political story tonight, Pierre Paliev is the new leader of the Conservative Party after a landslide win. As Marina von Stackelberg shows us, his victory could be a threat to the Trudeau Liberals.
In his victory speech, Pierre Paliev was all about the economy and the high cost of living for Canadians.
They need a prime minister who hears them and offers them hope that they can, again, afford to buy a home, a car, pay their bills, afford food, have a secure retirement, and God forbid, even achieve their dreams if they work hard. They need a prime minister who will restore that hope, and I will be that prime minister.
Paliev promises to make Canada the freest country on earth by limiting government's role in people's lives. That message has garnered him record support. He swept nearly every riding in the country, even in Quebec. More people voted in this leadership race than in any other in Canadian history.
We are both seniors, and present government didn't do nothing for us, zero.
Exactly. So let's hope for the better future.
Whether it's from housing, inflation, or cost of living, and right now, three of those three have a high effect on my generation because they can't afford to live, say, for example, in a house in the suburban areas.
Canadians are coming to terms that this government that has been in government for 7 years now, it's tired, it's lack of good ideas.
At the Liberal retreat in New Brunswick the day after the win, the party was asked what they make of Paliev pointing the finger at them for this country's inflation problem.
Canada is experiencing, an increase in the cost of living as a result of many factors, the war in Ukraine, supply chain disruptions, but these are global phenomena. And as a country, we need to have serious leadership at a time like this.
Thank you very much.
The Conservatives believe that person is Pierre Paliev. He'll have his first meeting with his caucus Monday morning. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
Meantime, the Green Party of Canada is looking for a new leader and new president. Lorraine Reckmans had been serving as president but resigned, suggesting the party has no vision for the future.
I don't think I failed my party. I think that there are political forces that we can't overcome. And I will say until certain people step aside.
Reckmans is calling for the current leadership race to end amid party infighting and divisive politics. She was the party's first Indigenous president and believes she could help the Greens, quote, rise from the ashes. In a resignation letter made public, she says that dream is now dead. Welcome back. We have an update to a story we first told you about earlier this week. A woman robbed at knife point, her 2 dogs stolen. Well, we are happy to report they've been reunited and police have made an arrest. The dogs were taken on September 1st near Yonge and Dundas. There they are. One was a brown Shih Tzu in a stroller, the other a black Scottish Terrier. Police say both dogs have been located in good health and they're now back with their owner. 36-year-old Angela Dupuis has been arrested and charged. Police are still searching for a male suspect. Well, it was 1 week ago that 10 people were killed, 18 wounded in Saskatchewan. The families who lost loved ones are only beginning the grieving process. As Sam Sampson shows us, people in different provinces are finding ways to pay their respects.
Her smiling face. That's what Bonnie Burns' brother will remember, but at her wake, he and his family won't see her face at all.
They'll have closed caskets because of the situation, so it's unfortunate, but you know what? We have a lot of pictures, we're going to have a lot of family, we're going to sit there, we're going to laugh, we're going to tell some stories, we're going to eat some food, and that's going to bring us closer together.
The chief of the Saskatoon Tribal Council also lost his nephew, Gregory Burns. They were killed in a stabbing massacre that started on James Smith Cree Nation, where 9 people were killed, and continued to the nearby village of Weldon, where 1 man was killed. Now, families and communities are planning funeral after funeral.
It's going to be a tough couple of days here, but we're going to do our best to get through it.
1 week since, and the tragedy is being marked elsewhere. In Hamilton, Ontario, a sacred fire burns to remember those lost.
We celebrate together and we cry together. We collectively mourn together. So by lighting our sacred fires, we are showing our relatives to the west that we are mourning with them and we share their pain and that we are here for them should they call upon us.
Another community rocked by tragedy. Families of the Humboldt Broncos hockey players killed more than 4 years ago are calling on all Canadians to show support.
Does have a passing touchdown this season. This time he's going to take it right up the middle and he's in!
A symbol of solidarity in the CFL this weekend, as players sported stickers in support of James Smith Cree Nation.
I'll be praying for those families that lost a loved one and who are going through it, those that got wounded.
Funerals for those killed in James Smith and Weldon continue all week. Small steps in grieving such significant loss. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Regina.
It means the world to me because, I just started, not just started, but like four years now, and it's the biggest crowd I've ever performed in front of,
That's Toronto-based artist TV Gucci. He was thrilled to be one of more than 75 artists to perform at Ontario Place this weekend for the 3-day Rolling Loud Festival. American rapper Future was one of the headliners of the event. Roy Woods, Roddy Ricch, and WizKid also took the stage. Toronto artist Smiley says having events like these come to the city is crucial to the hip-hop scene.
It means a lot of growth, because it's like it never happened, so I just hope everyone just does good so it happens again and it keeps happening and we keep going all the way up.
Billed as the world's largest hip-hop festival, this weekend marks the first time the event has come to Toronto. Walks around the country took place this weekend, raising money for Parkinson's awareness. In Toronto, the biggest walk in Canada brought thousands of people to Earl Bales Park, including our friend Sophia.
If my grandfather was here today, he would have just loved to see everybody out in the crowd supporting, and that's who I'm walking for today. My Papa, my grandfather, who is no longer with us, but he is one of the 100,000 Canadians who has Parkinson's.
Walks were held in Ottawa, Windsor, and Durham region. Parkinson Canada says at least 30 people a day are diagnosed with the disease. Nearly $1 million has been raised so far at this year's Super Walk alone. What a way to honor your grandfather.
You got me tearing up again.
And
Shannon
the kids
Martin.
were there.
The kids were there. It was so wonderful being out, seeing everybody's smiling faces in the sunshine and connecting for such an amazing cause.
Yes.
It's been happening, this walk, since 1990. $40 million raised so far over the past couple decades for research, Shannon. And if you are connected to the disease, next September, come on out and walk with us. It's been wonderful supporting the organization, and the weather cooperated. Might not have the best luck the next couple days. So it was great to see everybody out there. Rain and showers the next couple days, feeling more fall-like, folks. It's this big trough that's above us. Carbon copy days, Monday and Tuesday, as this kind of rain wraps around. You could have some thunder showers as well. We might pick up 5, 10, even 15 millimeters of rain. And then something interesting happens come Tuesday. We have some upper level spin in the atmosphere. So what this means is cold air above wants to sink down south, and the lakes are quite warm right now. So that warm air will rise, and we could actually have the perfect recipe for some water spout formation, especially on the Lake Erie shorelines. Non-severe, really neat to look at. We don't really want them coming up on shore though. So that's a Tuesday story potentially. Then after all that active weather, we have a bit of cool air in place for Wednesday. We are talking about daytime highs in only the high teens for Wednesday and Thursday. Plenty of sunshine, though, Shannon, for Wednesday and Thursday. And then when I see you next weekend, we'll have a return to summer with some warmth again. Summer 2.0 for the end of September. And by then, your little one will be in a second or third week of junior kindergarten. How did the big first week go? I gotta ask you before we go.
Strong start, a rocky ending. There was tears and an early pickup, but Monday's another day. So we'll try again, right?
He wanted home time at home with you instead, Shannon.
That's right, I know.
And he'll be driving before we know it.
Oh gosh, let's not talk about it. We're gonna say goodbye because I can't think about that. Good night, Sophia. We gotta show you this. Some dogs making a big splash in the pool for the last day of summer. Just so much fun. A lot of good boys and girls out there. See you next weekend.